Will new Vsauce architectures with cloud-based storage options impact the on-premise video server and storage market?
David, how do you see the situation?
Absolutely. I mean, in lots of vertical markets, cloud's extremely important, and we're supplying a lot of data centers throughout the whole world with environments for that. Some of the differences is, I mean, cloud requires perhaps more durable storage. You know, it's going to be there. It's going to be there for a while. You know, I suggest if anyone's interested in that, they go and look up our Core Vault product as an example. But when it comes to surveillance, I think a lot of the reasons that we've discussed, cybercrime, even connectivity and those sort of things, the adoption is much slower at this time. And to be honest, I don't see that changing really quickly. I think there will be a change, but it'll be over many years.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Well, you know, there's cloud is many things, right? And I think that's what we need to understand is, you know, it can be a managed facility where you have your own servers and so on, but managed by somebody else. It can be, again, hosted, which is partly that, or it can be a hybrid where you have some recording going on locally and then you archive or move your data to a remote site, right? One of my concerns in general is to do with bandwidth, and especially, again, as we talked before about resolution of cameras. You know, as soon as you are into those 4Ks, those 8Ks, that's a lot of pixel that we have to move. And it's okay when it's one or two cameras, or streams, but when we are talking about thousands and thousands, maybe even millions in the big countries of data, which trying to move these big high density streams, I can't really see the internet right now and probably in the foreseeable future be able to handle that. It's really a serious channel. And in some industries, you can lose typical broadcasting when you're downloading or streaming to your Netflix streaming. You know, it doesn't really matter whether you lose a couple of seconds or a couple of frames. But when we are looking at surveillance, you cannot lose frames. You know, losing frames is absolutely critical, especially if you are in the middle of a video analytics, right? But it's also very a few kind of situations where how long does it take for a person to pass a camera which are looking outside a gate, for example, or a port? You will see that it actually only takes few seconds. And if that camera was down or that frames were lost when that person passed, then there's no way you know what happened. And that is another reason why I'm moving over to the camera technology, where people install SSD or flash memory into the cameras. That can potentially become an issue because a lot of these flash memory cards, unless you use really high-end cards, then they are really built for low-end applications. They are built for workstations, etc. And therefore, the durability, as we talked about in SSD before, is going to be a lot less. Mm-hmm. And therefore, again, we have data loss, frame loss, etc. Right? So I see that the cloud right now, or at least in the future, it will be probably more used because of long retention periods. I can see some ideas having archiving. We could pack streams. We could combine streams. We could maybe even move away some of the resolution because you don't need to run video analytics. If you run video analytics on the edge or in the beginning, but only move after 30 days if you want to have retention 9 or 90 days or whatever, then it doesn't really need to be those very high resolution streams. We could pack them down and make them less. Right, and that is where the cloud, in my view, potentially could offer something.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay, interesting. Which means the application with business critical and mission critical applications might also have, I would say, different consequences. Yeah. Alexander, from a VMS point of view.
Yeah.
How do you see that?
I can mainly confirm everything that Jes has mentioned right now. We as Axxonsoft, we also offer a vSaaS data center solution to our customers. And currently we see the trend of using mostly hybrid cloud solutions, which means that you have servers on-premise and storage on-premise, and only the VMS part is managed by the cloud, still hosted on-premise on the local servers. So in the future, in the far, far future, once the time will come actually to move everything to the cloud, storage, analytics, complete the full VMS, then of course the race of high reliability hardware and storage solutions will come up, and we will have to take that into consideration.
Well, there's another issue as well, really, isn't there? And that has to do with that data doesn't really travel that well when it's critical data and personal data. So a lot of governments are trying to fence data in, so data cannot travel beyond the borders. And that means that we have to put a data center in every single country, and something even regions, right? So that's an issue. And of course, what that will do is that the cost having more data centers means that the service will go up. And of course, that will limit the adaptation of this. The other thing which people really, I feel sometimes, forget to look at is that they look at that cost of acquisition of hardware is X amount of money. And it's of course always going to be bigger than having a cloud solution. But then you pay for this little subscription. But if it was only like it was a Microsoft 365 for a few years, then the subscription will never be more than the acquisition cost for the big stuff. But here we're talking about people which are running these solutions for 5 and 10 years. So imagine the subscription cost. At one day, those two graphs are going to cross over, and you will actually find that you have paid a lot more for your cloud solution or service, video as a service, than you have if you have bought it originally. And I think that is a slightly different thing in our industry. They keep using the hardware for so long time. You know, we have a client in the Middle East, a big airliner, which are now running some of our servers and storage for 13 years, right? Imagine if they had bought that as a subscription. And for me, you know, I wouldn't be here. I would be on Bahamas. It would be a lot of money.